We're Friends Stream Sports. We're friends who like to stream our sports and hang out. And instead of just playing in the background on basketball, maybe driving on the court, or sitting in the back porch and talking about the playoffs or watching the game, we play the game. Connor, how are you feeling about tonight?
You know, Rutledge, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. We're playing some NBA 2K, and as much Madden as I play, and really as much FIFA as I play, this is going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of interesting gameplay here tonight, which should make for an entertaining experience for our viewer. Don't we have our first follower?
We do. This is a huge week for us at Friends Stream Sports. We're officially in week 3. We have our first official followers, so shout out to you if you're out there. As well as we have some subscribers. We also put all of our streams, back them up on Friends Stream Sports on YouTube. We have some subscribers there. But
I think, Rutledge, when we get merch, we should have our first followers remind us that they were our first followers so they can get some free merch.
And they can say first followers, and they can have that.
Oh, no doubt, dude. So how are you feeling about NBA 2K tonight?
I'm with you. On the positive, I love this game and how it's presented. I think it looks really cool. It feels like you're watching a basketball game. On the sense of, then I start watching me play the basketball game, and not as cool. I got this game. I got 2K19 during the Raptors finals when they beat Golden State, because it was $3 on PlayStation, and I kind of picked it up and played around with it. And then I got 20. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. So I'm glad we're on the same skill level. No one likes to watch a stream where one gets killed.
Unless we're playing Fortnite.
And that's where friends fail. Speaking of friends fail, we had our first friends fail, Connor.
That was tough.
I watched their show last week and digesting it, and all I kept hearing us say over and over and over again was like, Nuggets don't have it, Clippers gonna come back. I remember I even said, I picked Clippers in 6, I think they'll take it in 5. And look what happened. What do you think about them Nuggets, Connor?
You know, here's what I think about the series. Here's what I think happened. And just as you step back and digest everything that happened as a whole, you know, really just the dichotomy of conversation is greater than Harvey Dent after a bad haircut. You know, on the one hand, you had the Clippers with more hype around them than U2. That's playing a concert at Wembley Stadium, right? You had Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. You had kind of the superstars, you had the superstar coach. Everyone was building them to go all the way, except for Nick Wright. Shout out to Nick Wright. And then you had the Nuggets, right? As their head coach deemed themselves, they kind of feel like the bad news bears. No one expected to be there. And really had just about as great of a comeback as anything Eminem could come up with in a rap battle. And it was as great as it was television. Unfortunately, the unfortunate thing for the NBA is the NBA probably wanted Clippers-Lakers because of ratings and whatnot. But in terms of sports fans and just appreciation of an underdog, what could be better than a complete David and Goliath situation? So yeah, I know that was a lot to take in, but that's how I feel about our failure. I feel pretty hyped about us failing.
Connor, it wouldn't be Friends Stream Sports if Connor didn't say something eloquent. So, there's that. I want to give a shout out to first of all our viewer Veneros, who's given us some comments. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. See you out there in the Twitch land watching this live. Connor, you bring up a good point, though, talking about, I love that take of what Eminem come with in a rap battle. And I'm sure everyone wanted Clippers-Lakers. We all wanted Clippers-Lakers. And as we're going to load up, I kind of want to talk about something that hit me in the shower this week. Clippers-Lakers went out, Kawhi Leonard won, within weeks of winning the NBA championship, signed a roster, and then they're like, okay, bring Paul George, we're going to have Doc Rivers, we're going to put together the super team, we're going to make a run, we're going to win the finals. And it's brought this new thing in sports that I just think needs to stop. And that is where we, as human beings, need to remember sports aren't video games. And it's happened year after year. This year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Clippers, The Cleveland Browns last year, how much hype was there about we're going to draft Baker Mayfield, Heisman winning quarterback, we're going to bring in Odell Beckham Jr., we're going to bring in all these people. And it's just, everyone struggles. Even the LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade with their 6 rings, they struggled. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to have a year or two to get used to each other. So I think if I could say anything, there needs to be more time allowed for teams to function and develop, just like there should have been more time for that play to develop. Oh man. Ooh. So that's my shower take. We need to stop.
Do you think in NBA 2K21 they'll have the NBA bubble court?
I think that'd be awesome.
With
I think that would be incredible.
At subsequent Walt Disney World resorts.
If there's one thing I would have risked to get in trouble with Disney, it would have been to be a part of that.
That would have been sweet. It is kind of fun to be around, you know, the Disney property, and you see some of the buses riding around, and you kind of peek over your shoulder. You know which buses are the NBA buses. You peek over your shoulder, and you go, "Oh, here's the San Antonio Spurs bus. That's pretty neat. Oh, here's LeBron. Here's the closest I'm going to be to LeBron James in my entire life. That's neat.
That's neat." So as we sit here and we play, it's time for us to discuss, because we're playing basketball this evening.
We're playing basketball.
So what is your take currently on the Eastern Conference Series, which is going on as we speak right now?
Yeah, what
Heat Celtics, not in this environment, not in TD Bank Arena at all.
But in that bubble, though. Yeah, I mean, you know, great question, Rutledge. I think, you know, definitely pretty crazy how we got here. You know, a lot of people thought the Celtics had the good chance to make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. No one was really doubting them there. But I think that you had, you know, a lot of people had some issues about the Heat. A lot of people weren't too sure if the Heat would get there. You know, really, if you think about it, the Heat are kind of like the anti-Heatles. Remember the Heatles, you know, little LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh action, and then, you know, you had the old stars, but it was really the big three, the initial of the big three, and, you know, not 3, not 4, not 5, but
not
2.
6, but 2.
I don't think LeBron James meant to fit, you know, there's a reason LeBron James didn't finish that sentence and started with not 3. So, you know, it's kind of interesting, right? Yeah, the anti-Heatles. Jimmy Butler, who, you know, hey, Jimmy Butler, I think he's a stud. You know, love his tenacity. Everywhere he goes, he's not a guy who's going to put up with a bunch of bullcrap. And he does a good job getting guys motivated. But a superstar he is not. So you have Jimmy Butler, and then a fair amount of guys who you go, who is that? Or the other category is they're still in the league. So, you know, you've got your Bam Adebayos, which even with his block in game 1, let's be real here. If you took the name off the back of his jersey, most casual fans probably couldn't identify who he was on. And then you've got, you know, your Tyler Hero, who is really just he's having a great series. Hats off to him, but he's kind of having a tough time right now. So I don't know. That's how I feel about the Heat. You know, Celtics. You know, they just got to get over the hump. You know, that you've got some real. I think some mental blockades there to kind of work through. So, what do you think, Rutledge? That's kind of my take on the teams. What are your takes?
My take on the Eastern Conference Finals is, let's first address. I'm with you. I didn't think we were going to be here pre-bubble. It looked like it was going to be, you know, it looked like it was just going to be straight up all Milwaukee, like it was going to be a Milwaukee Lakers series. That's where we're going to sort of collide, and that's what we're going to. 2 seeds are not playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Real life score updated is currently Boston 60, Miami 47 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's going to sort of help me with my take on this. I watched, you know, the Miami game you're right. Bam's block, like I had said in previous episodes, Pat Riley did an amazing job of putting together a team where he got a group together and he, in a year, put this squad up. And here they are, and they've got all these pieces, and they were kind of fly under the radar, but it's just different. It's just good basketball to watch. Their highlight film, the Heat, they move like fire. Like, they just flow in between moving from outside in the perimeter and shooting on the line, and then bringing in, running the post and making a lot of moves. The Heat have a great fluidity to them, but that doesn't discredit, Boston has a lot of lottery picks that they got, and Brad Stevens is a smart man, and Boston's got a really good system that they're put together. So this series, to me, it's really going to come down to, can the Heat maintain that tenacity? Can they really sort of maintain that pressure? But can they also watch all the details? They're not a sloppy basketball team. That's why they're where they are, and that's why they've been cleaning up series with people. But can they get all the way? I watched a little bit of the game today, and there was a bunch of corner jumpers that were just left wide open, and Jason Tatum is just, he's just left uncovered too often. So, kind of like my defensive performance right now. I'm not right in the spot I thought I was going to be. But
sorry, go on.
Oh, I think between Luka and I think between Dragic, not Luka, I think between Dragic and I think between Jimmy Butler, they have a really good shot. I think the Heat just have to completely outpace the Celtics. The one true trick in all of this, though, is going to be, do you have enough in the tank to outsmart Brad Stevens? Not saying that Spoelstra is a bad coach, and he's done a really good job with his team, but Stevens is already adapting. And tonight's 60-47 score is a really good example that Brad Stevens is putting together pieces really quickly and figuring out how his guys to make it. You were going to say something, Connor?
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate your thought about consistency within this series and doing the little things right. No matter what you're doing, it's really important to get the little things right. To me, the series is going to come down to one thing. The word is dog. Who's going to be that team where when your star goes out, your star's down, your star's hurt. Bam Adebayo is not doing what he needs to be doing. Taco Fall. Now, hey, super big time shout out to Taco Fall, but he's got some thickening out to do. And get over, just say we're gonna make this happen. And I think that's the big element of what this series is going to come down to.
Absolutely.
So how far do you think the series is going to go?
7. What about you?
You think 7?
Yep. I think I'm 7. I don't want to leak who my pick is yet, but I see it taking 7, and I love a good game 7 in basketball. But they're really going to kind of get after it. So that's our first quarter take. Right? What a first quarter. 10 points up by you, or no, 8 points up.
Have you ever been to Boston, Rutledge?
I've been to the airport. I flew to Europe out of the airport, but I've never been to physical Boston. Have you?
I've been to Boston twice.
Okay. Anything good about Boston?
Boston is a super good place. You've got a lot of good folks there in Boston. A lot of good food, a lot of good bars. There's bars like everywhere. The joke is there's a bar right by the first hotel that I stayed at, right by the grave of Sam Adams. The joke was you could drink a cold Sam Adams while looking at a cold Sam Adams.
I love that.
So, and then the first place I stayed in Boston was actually the place where they invented the Parker House, or Boston cream pie.
Okay. So, was it Dunkin' Donuts?
No. Although, here's the thing, though. The Boston cream pie that I had at the place that invented Boston cream pie, not as good as the Dunkin' Donuts Boston cream pie donut.
I would like to say that Connor does not represent my stance on Boston cream pies, and I do not want to be tangled up in whatever mess comes through Twitch this evening. That's not my stance.
That does not reflect the values of this show.
Nope, that is not the values of me on this show.
I'll stand on that corner by myself.
Yeah, you stand there by yourself. All right, so as we're in the second quarter, if there's an Eastern Conference Finals, there's got to be a Western Conference Finals. Connor Bourne, what is your take on that Western Conference?
Well, you got to start with the Lakers, right? You got to start with LeBron. You got to start with the Lakers. This is his best shot, And if you're going to talk about the West, unfortunately, even though this team didn't even sniff the bubble, you still got to talk about the fact that one of the reasons why this is LeBron's best year to make it to the finals in LA as a Laker is because Golden State's down. Clippers are out. Golden State's down. Houston is still trying to win games on a spreadsheet as opposed to on a basketball court.
It's funny how that doesn't work. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry to jump in with my shower take. I'm still a little steamed. I'm sorry.
No worries. But LeBron has done a lot, right? The knock was always, what will LeBron do in the West? Well, full season with some pretty complimentary pieces. What has LeBron done? He has been a number 1 seed in the West. He had 4 months off, very, very healthy. You had Anthony Davis, who is healthy. A lot of good guys like that. And I think that Lakers, definitely the favorites. How could you say they wouldn't be the favorites? Now, I think that the other piece to consider is with that, who's going to be the Lakers' number 3? Playoff Rondo, who can't shoot in the playoffs or in the regular season. Kyle Kuzma, who is consistent once out of every 3 games. There's some questions there as to who's going to be the 3rd best person. But that's kind of my take on the Lakers. And then, really my take on the Nuggets is, how many times can David kill Goliath? As the top 5 players in this series, at best, the Nuggets have 2 of them. I think, they will be outmatched. They will be outmanned. Who's going to guard LeBron? What's that going to be all about? If it's Michael Porter Jr., how's that going to impact his offensive game? I think there's a lot of questions just in terms of pure talent, on the Nuggets side. And with that, I think it's important to just think about this in terms of consistency. The Nuggets can get a good, some good role play consistency. They'll do fine. And if the Lakers have a good 3rd player to be consistent throughout the course of this series, they're going to be fine. But that's going to be the big question as this series plays out. What do you think, Rutledge?
Oh man, that's huge take, right? Massive stuff, and I think I couldn't agree. I won't want to say I couldn't agree more, but LeBron James, in his legacy of his titles with his teams, when you go back and you think about LeBron James and the Miami Heat and how they struggled. What is it? The first series finals he played, he struggled against the Mavericks. Then they had the disrespect with the trophy on the court. The trophy on the court in Game 6, if Ray Allen didn't save that thing, they would have been done. And he doesn't have any of those problems this year. There's no Giannis. There's no James Harden. They've already, the Rockets are out. Steph Curry's playing golf with Patrick Mahomes, or they played golf during the bubble.
And Rob Riggle.
Yeah.
Special shout out to Holy Moly.
There you go.
Stephen Curry and his Tomb of Nefertiti championship hole. Sorry, go on. Just had to give a shout out.
No, it's okay. We have to. Streams are all about shout outs. Whoa. But just the wide openness of that is what. Oh, there we go. The wide openness of that's just what's going on in the West. We all wanted to watch Clippers, Lakers, Battle for LA. I was going to be all locked in on that. It was going to be amazing. But did it happen? Didn't happen. Why? Because my shower take earlier, the Clippers just tried to build this sort of roster. So now you have the monster that is Los Angeles Lakers. And Anthony Davis and Los Angeles Lakers are just, the connection and the chemistry is just full out awesome. They just make things flow. They make things go. You're right. What is Rajon Rondo going to do? Who is the 3rd person? Does Dwight Howard have his moment in the sun as a bench player who's older, who's on the roster? But the depth is in the team. And it's going to be, as much as I would, it's going to be, what is that, even for when they get to the finals, who out of the East can really stop that?
Did you just leak your pick?
Not leak, like a little bit of a leak. Like, we can put some duct tape on it. We don't need to get the Flex Seal.
True.
But I'm really taking that the Nuggets, they're good system basketball. I think the Clippers choked, to go with all of the Stephen A. Smith videos. The first time I've agreed with his yellings in years is that the Clippers just straight up choked in the moment, their moment in the sun. And they're just kind of in trouble. I don't think they bit off more than they can chew, but in the regular season, Denver and Miami went 3-1 this year. Denver taking Miami, not Denver, Miami, but Denver and LA. Lakers took 3 of those games. So, lot going on. And this roster, it's not bad, but there's just something about when you take the franchise Los Angeles Lakers with depth and talent and put them up there and get LeBron clicking and like swatting playoff basketball, along with Anthony Davis, along with all the other pieces, along with Kyle Kuzma, who I think when you call out a third person, I think Kyle Kuzma is really going to step into his own. Because he's going to have, he's in this major role, but he's also put in the major spotlight. Would Kobe Bryant have been the big of a name that Kobe Bryant is if he was on the Charlotte Hornets for his entire life, right? Or was it because he put on that purple and gold? So, lots to think about, but as we go with that, I'm really putting it into that. It's David and Goliath, Connor. I don't want to say that I would say we're on the very same page with a very similar take. You know what? I think even it's so much of a crazy matchup that here's a different matchup that I would want to think of. You know what? I would rather watch. Be interesting. Who would win as a Foot Locker sales rep at Foot Locker if it was Michael Jordan versus Steph Curry, but they couldn't sell their own shoe?
I would have to give. I'd have to give the nudge to Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry's more of a man of the people. Steph Curry could joke around a little bit more. I think LeBron would just kind of be like, "Hey, you're going to buy this shoe, and there's nothing you can do about it."
Right. What about Michael Jordan though?
No, I'm saying that Steph Curry would be a man of the people. He'd be joking around.
Sure.
Steph Curry's hands on my feet. He'd make my feet feel really good. I'd be into that.
Right. I'd love to. I'd never tie those shoes ever again after Steph Curry tied them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would hope he would shake my hand. I think that would be awesome. And I think there's some. Yeah, I'd go with Steph Curry. Now, if LeBron, not LeBron, I think if Michael Jordan could sell his shoe, all I think Michael would have to do would be to come to the store with his 6 rings and just be like, hey, you want to win? You want to be good? If so, buy this shoe.
Right. So, well, as far as that goes, we do. It's closer than I anticipated to. As we go to our halftime, I'm going to take Jordan because of just how competitive he is, and the fact that when Jordan filmed Space Jam, he invited people to come play him so he could compete to get back in basketball shape. I think that I want that guy selling my shoes. So,
hot take.
Our viewer Veneros really shoots at you for loving Curry so much, but also agrees Jordan with me. So that's our shooting along. All right, it is time for our halftime hot takes, and our hot take subject this year is: what are your NBA finals? Who are your NBA finals, Connor, and how many games does it take each team to get there?
As I mentioned in the East, East is going to be 7 games. West will be 6 games. Heat have the dog in them to advance. I know that right now it's not looking good for the all Heat, but I think they will prevail. Then I think that out of the West, you're gonna get the Lakers. I'm not gonna outsmart the room. Lakers in 6.
What
about you, Rattles?
I have. Oh, I just crushed that 3. That feels real good. I'm taking that. I have. I'm also taking the Lakers. I think that it's too David Goliath. who knows? The Nuggets, I think, and I don't think it's going to be like the Clippers series. LeBron being the discipline of the game and the motivator he's become of teams, especially being older, I really think he's going to get them. What the heck just happened? He's going to get them to push the what a block. It broke my brain. I couldn't even finish my take. Mm-hmm. LeBron's going to give him to push the button. He's going to push the envelope. I think Lakers take it in 5. And then I actually go with that the Heat take it in 7. I think that adaptability, that flow and motion catches up to them. And I think Boston can't handle it forever. So that's where I'm thinking. So it'll be, we're both Heat, Lakers, but I think the Lakers get there quicker.
Fair enough.
So how did our picks go last week, Connor?
I was going to say, I know there's a big basketball game and a big basketball episode, but we got to talk about some football, and we should start out with. Although we did have a friends fail, we did have some friends win this past week with our picks. We kind of did a good job on our picks. We both took the Saints to cover, and we both picked the Titans. So good job, Connor and Rutledge.
Huge win for weeks, right? Both good things. You know what also I want to talk about football wise? How about them Bucks and Tampa Bay?
I think it's important to just remember to stay loose with Tom Brady. Stay loose with Tom Brady, stay loose with the Bucks. They're going to get there. I know he had some bad pieces and some bad interceptions and some bad throws, but they'll get there. What do you think?
I think it is. I think there needs to be a little bit of looseness on it as we talk about our stay loose. But I'm really gonna kind of put out there the truth about the concern that I have with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is when Tom Brady throws passes, and as he throws passes, him and the receivers look at each other during a live game with a look of like, what was that? And that's, I know there's no preseason, right? We need to have the preseason. But that's just stuff that veteran Tom Brady, won a ton of Super Bowls. Like, you don't want to see that stuff happen. So I want to give him a little bit of a pass, but not so much. I think you give it about 1 or 2 more games, and then there it goes.
Oh, true. A month in, the Bucks are 1-3. You can just about call it a wash. Now, I don't think the Bucks will be 1-3. I think part of it too, you got to remember, the Bucks and a lot of these players on their team haven't necessarily been, on teams with high expectations over the past couple of years. So, there could have been an element of tightness. You go in week 1 to New Orleans. I mean, who wants to? No fans or all fans, you don't want to go see Drew Brees in New Orleans. So could have been some tightness there. I think they'll work it out. I still think Tampa Bay is just fine. They'll be a playoff team, and we'll go from there. But definitely a tough way to start out the season, though. That's for sure. Yeah,
I agree with that. That's like I said, I called it in our must trust bust from our previous episode. That was that's a turnover. That's my bust for the year is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I really sort of have them. As much as you want to take it easy on them, they're going to be like that pass was, just opened up the transition and made it happen.
So speaking of must trust and bust, Rutledge, and I feel like we're going to be following these teams all season. Oh, that was a bust pass. But I feel like these are going to be some don't back down, never back down picks for us here.
Oh, absolutely.
Want to recap how your must trust and bust went?
Yeah. Well, my big must, of course, the New Orleans Saints, which they showed a lot. Michael Thomas getting hurt. Really not too worried about that. I think they still have enough depth that they can make that work. As far as my bust with Tom Brady and everyone, I felt that. We already covered that. Seahawks as a trust in the NFC, or as a watch in the NFC. Also a big fan of them. And Greg Olson's really slotting in nicely. The one thing that I'm interested to watch is our honorable mention of terribleness was the Washington football team. And the Washington football team currently leads the NFC East. How do you feel about that, Connor?
Hey, that was the big surprise of the weekend. Dwayne Haskins sitting in the pocket. Dwayne Haskins not just able to win the game and lead his team to the win, but with all the turmoil, all the noise of the offseason, able to come back from 10 points down on an Eagles team that, for whatever reason, still gets all this credit going into the season. People think they're going to be awesome. People love Carson Wentz, and hey, Carson Wentz can throw a football much better than I can throw a football. But there's going to come a point where I'm going to start selling my Carson Wentz stock. We need to think about that. So that's kind of how I feel about the Washington football team. I almost said the other name that the Washington football team used to go by.
Oh no! Don't say it while you drop that dunk face on me. Don't do that.
Dunk face. To go through my must, bust, and trust for the NFC. First off, LA Rams, still trusting that they're going to be a playoff team. I know they had a tight one against the Cowboys, but I mean, Cowboys are pretty good. Cowboys are probably the best team in the NFC East, just kind of roster-wise and talent-wise, so you knew it was going to be a tough one. But you know what? Now, speaking of Washington and Philly, the Rams are at Philly this week. Very talented team with some momentum. Now going into play Philly, who just lost a pretty embarrassing game. I am pretty excited about the prospects of the Rams playing really well. Packers, I was kind of wrong last week. I was already down on the Packers. We need to remember that really the Packers are one Devontae Adams rolled ankle away from Aaron Rodgers utilizing the Cracker Barrel wait staff as wide receivers on his team.
Oh, what about that Golden Corral you gave shout out to in Green Bay last week?
Or pardon me, not Cracker Barrel, Golden Corral. The Golden Corral wait staff. I have been to that Golden Corral. We had a good time there. But they just with someone like Aaron Rodgers, there's some reports out now that they drafted Jordan Love literally just to make Aaron Rodgers mad. And although that seems very Phil Jackson-y and, could work, but still, you need guys on the same page as Rodgers. You need receivers with some good separation. And over time, we'll see what happens. And then in terms of a must for the Bucks, yet again, not to keep bringing this whole thing up, but I think you just give it time to playing Carolina, much more winnable game. Carolina had that rough game against Las Vegas last week. So give it time. Bucks will right the ship. You know what I mean? So, Rutledge, let's talk about the AFC.
Yeah. So with the AFC, of course, I picked the Chiefs as my trust, the Bengals as my bust, and I also took. I'm blanking on them here because my mind has been blown from this blowout. I took the Titans. No, I took the Bills as my must. Bills show a lot of promise. They were doing a lot of things right. They are going to play the Dolphins this week. They played the Jets, which the Jets got called terrible on a lot of different sport shows. Chiefs, of course, are the Chiefs. They just made great moves. And that was just a beautiful, just normal Patrick Mahomes. I'm a grown 25-year-old man playing NFL football, but you thought I was in my backyard with my friends. And that's what I just respect about him. As far as my bust of the Bengals, we're still going to see. I am surprised, though. I want to talk about something else, as I feel very comfortable with my AFC teams. We didn't mention the Cleveland Browns at all last week. What do you think about that, Connor?
Oh, Rutledge, give me a minute. I'll be well, you know what? I'll mention the Cleveland Browns right now. You hear all that dead air?
Oof.
That's how I feel about the Cleveland Browns. A lot of hype going into the season, and pretty quiet in Cleveland right now. There are already reports of trading OBJ. It's not going to be pretty for the Browns this season. Are they better than that? Will they get better? Absolutely. I think there's going to be a lot of considerations regarding how tonight goes. If Joe Burrow looks better than Baker Mayfield tonight, I think that quietness is going to start to not be so quiet, but not in a positive way. So, I would say those would be some of my thoughts there. Yet again, those Ravens looked real good, didn't they?
I did. I mean, they played Cleveland.
But Cleveland had all the hype. So, 1-0, that's, hey, one game in, you're 1-0, that's awesome. Totally into it. Regarding my bust, the Patriots, I know they won their first game, but, this offense is not built Cam tough. Yeah, built Ford tough. This offense is not built Cam tough. I know he ran a lot, but, you can only play with the players that you have out on the field. And Patriots, they've got Cam, but after that on offense, Sony Michel with the banged up knee. You got Julian Edelman. He's pretty good, but they just, yet again, I don't think they've got the weapons to last all season. And then the Titans, I'm really excited about the Titans because, as you know, the winner of the Titans-Jags gets sole possession of the AFC South. So, must watch Tennessee Titans, fans in the stands, going to be into it. So, that's kind of my rundown of my AFC teams.
Yeah. I mean, the Titans, the Titans-Jags, you're right. Titans look good. To me, the Titans on Monday night, they looked like your regular, to me, they look like a football team. It's like, hey, we didn't have a preseason, but we still know what we're doing out here together. Not as good as like a Chiefs, where the Chiefs are like, hey, this is the exact same team that just won the Super Bowl this year. But I think the Titans have a lot of pieces in the right place. Speaking of Monday Night Football last week, what did you think about did you watch Chris Fowler and Kurt Herbstreit call the early game?
I did. I didn't know that they were doing that, and I remember hearing that that doesn't sound like NFL voices to me. And to my pleasant surprise, I was right. So definitely love that. Excited. College football week 1, although my Florida State Seminoles lost. Now the 4th straight season opener loss for my Florida State Seminoles. So
but this year they weren't
tough.
Dehydrated at home.
They were not dehydrated this year.
That.
For sure.
Oh, that was a nice shot from the field.
Yes. But the Big Ten is back.
Oh, the Big Ten is back. Get your mid-rest, sweaty. Get your... I saw a joke that Ohio State is already going to start ordering their undefeated banner for the season.
That's funny.
Since they're just playing a Big Ten schedule.
Hey, gotta watch Purdue. Purdue did beat them last time. So, gotta watch out for that. But, hey, as opposed to just talking straight sports, and by the way, did you see that nice gingham shirt that Eric Spoelstra's wearing?
I did. I'm shout out for that. The last time I played at him, he wore a straight vertical striped shirt with a solid tie. It was very 90s, but he's styled. As we play this game and we go through and we watch the presentation and the crispness and the details of 2K, I now understand and get why people, as we come into the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, why people want 2K football back. I get it.
Mm-hmm. That looks real nice.
All right. So you're right. Midwest. Connor, you went to college in the Midwest. I love to eat. Let's truly talk the Midwest.
Yeah, let's talk about the more important than the Big Ten coming back for football is Midwest food. Rutledge, just give me a few of your just top Midwest food experiences.
So my big favorite of all time Midwest food experience is the first time I ever went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to go to a wedding, and the bride and groom picked my wife and up from the airport, and they said, we're gonna have a good time. And the first thing I had was like a double bacon cheeseburger on a pretzel bun with beer cheese and a local Wisconsin brew. And it was just all downhill after that. I had cheese with every meal, while I woke up in Wisconsin. And
so you did Wisconsin right.
And the one thing I loved about it was everyone said, do you want more? More what?
That Midwest hospitality.
Right? And I'm one of Southern hospitality, which is kind, which is offering, which is sweet tea, which is y'all have fun. But Midwest, when they see that you're physically full and done, and your buttons are popping, and they just ask you if you want another piece of cheese, that to me is that's a different world. Get the rebound, guys. Get the rebound.
Yeah, Wisconsin, they do food right.
They do food right.
You got cheese curds, right?
I got them fried. I got them in the bag. I bought them in the airport. I bought them on the way home. I had an old lady in like the like standard issue airport worker cardigan tell me, these cheese curds you buy will last 24 hours. To which my thought was, they're not going to make it. I even bought cheese curds to go home. My wife and I were so glad that our flight got delayed because we got to go in the gift shop and buy more cheese curds. So I came home. I came home squeaky. I just squeaked.
Beautiful.
What about you, Connor? Good last Midwest food take, because we have 46 seconds left to go in this game.
I would say I'm going to do a shout out to a Big Ten campus, Purdue, where my wife was. Boiler up. You might hear my wife. At Purdue, there's a place called Triple X. I know what it sounds like. It is indeed a family establishment. And at Triple X, you can get what's called the Dwayne Purvis. Let me talk to you about the glory of the Dwayne Purvis. Imagine a bacon cheeseburger with peanut butter. And you just rinse it all down with a root beer, and it's just total old school diner feel. And, Big Ten, big food, big life, big love, big win for the Celtics, rock and roll. That's how I feel about that.
Incredible. Well, Connor, congratulations on your first Friend Stream Sports win. What a win for you tonight. How do you tell the people how you feel? That's your first win.
I feel better than after eating a piece of cheesecake. And I love cheesecake. Not to go back to more conversations I've had with my wife, I've worked in conversations about eating Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. 4 times this week. So I would feel better about the win tonight than if I were to have crushed a Reese's peanut butter cup piece of Cheesecake Factory cheesecake.
Shout out to the Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. That's some really good stuff. Okay, not one of our sponsors, but maybe one day. But now it's time for our last segment of the evening, and that is our big "You Can Never Back Down, Never Change Them, You Better Hold to It" picks. And our first pick is the number 17 Hurricanes versus Louisville. And Louisville's favored by 2.5 points. Who you got?
Turnover chain goes on the road, gets the win, but does not cover. So that would mean that I'm going Louisville, although I think I'm picking Miami for the win. They just don't cover.
Very cool. I also I'm going to take it with Miami as well. I don't believe Louisville's got enough in the tank. I think Miami keeps it in a close sort of slug-out game in that defensive style that they have, and I think they take it away. Sunday night.
Do they cover though?
I think they do. I think it's a field goal win by Miami. They'll cover. Might be a last-minute, last-drive field goal, but they're going to cover. All right, Sunday night, Seahawks versus Patriots. Seahawks are favored by 4 on the road going to New England.
Look, Seahawks are going to win. Bill Belichick spent time talking about how underrated Russell Wilson is. Think about that for a second, which, although is awesome, that could be seen as a negative because that means Bill Belichick is planning like no other for Russell Wilson. But I think, look, Seahawks have a better roster. Seahawks have been there before. If it wasn't for an errant pass and Malcolm Butler being at the right place at the right time, Russell Wilson will be 3-0 against the Patriots. And I think that Russell Wilson now will be 3-1 against the Patriots. The Seahawks to win and cover.
Okay, well, I, as an avid Seahawks fan since birth, And as a young boy who was raised in the Kingdom, it always pains me that you can just open up a GIF and just have that Malcolm Butler catch in the end zone, which shattered my back-to-back Super Bowl dynasty dreams in front of my face. But as that goes, I think that is not going to be this week. Bill Belichick said a lot of words about Russell Wilson, which, like you said, is a big uh-oh feeling for everybody. But I'm going Seahawks. DK Metcalf is maturing. The playbook looks different this year in that Russell Wilson's got some freedom to sort of run around and do his thing. Greg Olsen is a really good safety valve seam to pull. So overall, the Seahawks, I think this will be a solid win for them. I think they take it, and I think this starts to get the ball rolling for the year. Like I said, they're the ones you trust.
Beautiful. Well, all right, Rutledge. Hope you have a great night, my friend.
I hope you do. This has been an uncommon hangout for the common friend. This has been Friend Stream Sports. I'm Rutledge.
I'm Connor. We'll see you next week.
We'll see ya.